Here's what's exciting about each person's personal philosophy. That's what makes us different than dogs and animals and birds and cats and spiders and alligators. That's what makes us different than all other life forms. The ability to think, the ability to use your mind, the ability to process ideas, and not just operate by instinct. In the winter, I'm telling you, the goose can only fly south. What if south doesn't look too good? Tough luck. It can only fly south. But see, human beings are not like a goose, can only fly south. I mean, you can turn around, go north, you can go east, you can go west, you can order the entire process of your own life. And we do that by the way we think. We do that by exercising our mind. We do that by processing ideas and come up with a better philosophy, a better strategy for our life, goals for the future, okay? Plans to achieve those goals. All this comes from developing our philosophy. Philosophy helps us to process what's available. Well, when we get here, we got seed and we got soil and we got some rain and we've got some what? Sunshine, and we've got some seasons and what? The miracle of life. Now the key is, what do you do with all this stuff? How do you turn all this stuff that's available here into equity and promise and lifestyle and dreams and future possibilities? All of this that's possible now with human beings, how do you take all this stuff and turn it into this equities and values? Well, it starts with philosophy. What is the seed? What is the soil? What is the sunshine? What is the rain? Is it possible to take some of each of all the stuff that's available and turn it into food and turn it into value and turn it into nourishment and turn it into something spectacular and unique that no other life form can do? And the answer is yes. But you cannot deal with all this stuff and what to do with it unless you start refining your philosophy. Think, use your mind, come up with ideas, and strengthen your philosophy. So the seed and the soil and the rain and the sunshine, this is called, the economy and the banks and the money and the schools and everything that's available out there, processing information, what to do with all that, and turn it into equity and value. That is the major challenge of life, my personal opinion. So each person's personal philosophy now is going to determine what you're going to do with seed and soil and sunshine and rain and miracle, the change of seed. That's it, my personal opinion. Each person's personal philosophy is like the set of the sail. That's what this seminar is for today. Help you to trim a better sail. You don't need a better economy. You don't need better seed and soil. In fact, when it comes to seed and soil and rain and sunshine and seasons and the miracle of life, that's all you got. Now, what if you blame this stuff? Then you're blaming all you got. If you blame the economy and you blame the schools and you blame the teachers and you blame the sermons and the preachers and you blame, the marketplace and you blame the company and company policy, what else is there? When some people get through with their blame list, there isn't nothing else. That's all there is. And if you blame the only thing you've got to work with, I'm telling you, it's called mistake colossal in not understanding that that's all you've got to work with. And if this is all you've got to work with, then you don't change the seed and you don't change the soil and you don't change the rain and you don't change the sunshine, you don't change the seasons. Right? Guy says, I'll take 3 springs, 4 summers, 9 falls, no winters. No, you can't fool with this stuff. You got to take it like it comes. Then what do you change to make your life work well? You got to start with your philosophy.
When does a man or woman die? When their dreams die. When do we die? When we stop developing ourselves, expanding our minds, challenging ourselves, raising the bar on ourselves. The best thinking that I had at that point in my life had produced this life that I have. I need some help. I'm where Einstein was. He said the thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. I applaud you for investing in yourself, for coming here, flying thousands of miles, investing money in yourself. I can tell you, based upon my own experience, you have something special. You have greatness within you. What you're doing is different. You represent only 2% of the planet. One great American said, I choose not to be a common man. It's my right to be uncommon if I can. I seek opportunity, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dulled by having the state look after me. I want to take the calculated risk, to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. I refuse to live from hand to mouth. I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the still calm of utopia. I will never cower before the master, nor bend to any threat. It's my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid, to face the world boldly and say, this I have done. That's what it means to be a part of peak potentials. Your unquenching desire, an uncommon desire to manifest your greatness. Thank you. The other thing is you look at your goals and look at your dreams. Repeat out to me, please. I will fail my way to success. Yes, part of the reason why we have to continue to work on ourselves and surround ourselves with quality people is because you're going to have a lot of failures. You're going to have a lot of disappointments. Maya Angelou said, and it's true, I found it in my case, that most people go so far in life and then they park. They stop dead in their tracks. Why? Because they take some hits. When you have a goal and dream, think it not strange that you face the fiery furnaces of this world. You will have tribulations. Things are going to happen to you. I was in pursuit of my dream, and all of a sudden, boom, I got hit. A person that I thought I would be with for the rest of my life, I thought was my soulmate. I went through a divorce. I was embarrassed. I was humiliated. How can I teach people how to live their dreams? And I wasn't able to make my marriage work. I questioned myself. I took another hit. My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. Then I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Then my best friend from the second grade, Alexander Wims, he was diagnosed with cancer of the liver. I took a hit and life staggered me and I parked. And I didn't turn on my emergency lights because I didn't want to call attention to myself. I didn't want anybody to come and say, hey, do you need a jump? No, I don't need a jump. I'm not out of gas. My battery is not dead. My heart is beating. I'm parked. Leave me be. I'm parked. I was in my comfort zone. I was doing just enough to get by. I was working on a job. They paid me just enough to keep me from quitting. And I worked just hard enough to keep from getting fired. How many know people like that? Blink your eyes if you understand what I'm talking about.
Hey, man, let me say something to you. Why don't you just give yourself a break? Why don't you just be a little happier right now? Just give yourself the gift, brother, sister. You can do that right now. In this moment, you can intend to decide that you're just going to begin to see things. You have a thing in your brain called the reticular activating system. It's what filters out everything in the world that's not important to you and filters in what is. So that's why you're pretty good at sales and building a company, because you see prospects and deals and ideas and innovations everywhere. What if you started to filter into that things that just brought you bliss, peace, and happiness? Give yourself a break, man. You deserve it. You were born to do something great with your life. You were born to do something awesome. You were also born to be happy. And you think, man, if I start having all of this happiness crap you're talking about, I'm going to lose my drive. I'm going to lose my edge. This angry, this intense, this worried version of me keeps the boogeyman away. This is what keeps me working. That's what you think. I used to think it too. Truth is, there's a thing called blissful dissatisfaction. There's a difference between happiness and satisfaction. You can be simultaneously incredibly blissful and still totally dissatisfied. I'm a blissfully dissatisfied human being. I'm more blissful than I've ever been in my life, totally dissatisfied. Still want to win, still want to kick somebody's butt, still want to do something great with my life, but I'm not getting out of here. Here's what happened to me. I was building a mansion, my second big house, and I'm all wound up one day in California. I walk in, there's all these guys probably in the country illegally. They were working on my kitchen, right? And I'm in there. These guys are making no money. They've left their families. They're just trying to get enough money to send back home and maybe have food that night. I'm walking into my dadgum mansion I'm building with my wife and my baby, pissed off about some call I just had, living in complete stress. And I look over, they got mariachi music playing. They're dancing and laughing as they're doing their job. And I thought to myself, if life were counted by the emotions we experience, and it is, they're kicking my ass right now. Who the hell am I to be living this miserable? These guys have nothing and they find a way to get joy. So I'm sharing this with you because you're all high achievers and you're all trying to make a comeback or grow your business. Don't lose the emotional part of your life just to go win and get more stuff. Y'all, you didn't think I was going to talk about this, did you? Pretty good stuff though, yeah?
Now, I ain't no preacher, but people kill me when they ask me. I'm talking to a group of white reporters the other day. They kept asking me, how did I make it? I kept talking about grace and favor. And they kept asking me, who is your agent? I don't know who. Y'all, why you skipping over what I'm trying to tell you? You need the dream, the faith, and then he put his grace and favor on top of it, you gone. But you gotta ask for something. If you up your ass, he got to up his gill, period. You have not cause you ask not. Quit asking God for little bitty stuff. Lord Jesus, help me make my rent. Don't he always? All y'all got somewhere to stay. How about this? Why you keep asking for rent? Why don't you ask for a mortgage? If he gonna give you the money for a place to stay, what difference make God? But if you keep saying rent, ain't he fair? He keep giving you. If you ask for a mortgage, he'll give you a mortgage. But you have not cause you ask not. Lord Jesus, help me fix my car so I can make it to work. Why do you keep praying over that raggedy car? Why don't you ask God for a car that don't need fixing? You know, they roll them off the assembly line every day. How you can't get a new car? How you serve God. How you go to church and you can't get a car? Just a new car. How you can't get that from God? You know why? Because you ain't asking. You keep asking him for stuff that fit in your paycheck. Your paycheck say a 2015 Lexus, so you go down there and ask him for that. Then guess what you get? A 2015 Lexus. You up your ass, he up his ear. Have not questions. This ain't a magic trick, man. I get tired of rich people talking to people, and they make you buy these programs and stuff so they can drag you out for 8 years. You can get the program. Hell, I sell them.
The next treasure to leave behind is your library. All the books you have chosen. Books well read, well underlined, with notes and observations and reflections you have written in the margins. The books that have helped shape your philosophy and the values of your life. That is a treasure, your library. And your listening library too. All these terrific cassettes, they are a treasure. The third treasure to leave behind is perhaps the most important, and that is your journals, containing all the ideas you have captured in your lifetime. Business ideas, social ideas, culture ideas, investment ideas, lifestyle ideas. Can you imagine the value these journals would have? They will certainly be more valuable to leave behind to your children than your couch. So get serious about your search for information and ideas, and about leaving that information behind for future generation. Here's the next key word for expanding your life for the better. That word is review. Go back over all your life experiences. Learn a skill called reflection, pondering life's events with the intent of learning. That is so important. I call it running the tapes again. The events of your life are some of the best sources of information. Don't merely go through your days, get from your days. Be aware of what's going on around you so that you will drive the grooves in the record of that day deep into your consciousness. Here are some good times to reflect. First, at the end of the day, take a few minutes and go back over your day. Where you went and what you did and what you said. What worked and what didn't. What do you want to do again? What do you want to correct? The colors, the sights, the sounds, the conversations, the experiences. You see, experience can become commodity, currency, coin, an incredible source of value, but only if you take time to reflect on the experience and turn it into something of value. As we mentioned in our first fundamental, it's not what happens that makes the difference in how your life works out, but rather what you do about what happened. And part of doing something about what happens is this process of reflection, studying an event in order to glean valuable information from it. Another time to reflect is at the end of the week. Take a few hours. Take a half a day at the end of the month. Take a weekend at the end of the year. Reason? To make the past more valuable. Sophisticated people have learned how to gather up the past and invest it in the future. When my father was about to celebrate his 76th birthday, I said to him, "Father, can you imagine what it's going to be like to gather up the last 75 years and invest them in your 76th? That's how life can become productive and exciting. Not just living one more year, but gathering up the years and investing them in the next one." By reflecting, you can gather up all the conversations you have ever had and invest all that you have learned and all that you have felt in the next conversation. Gather all your experiences and invest all that you have learned and felt in your next experience. And the more value, the more substance, the more information, the more wisdom you can gather from all of your yesterdays, the more exciting your future becomes. Probably all of us already know all that we need to know in order to make our lives turn out the way we want, except for one thing: how to gather what we've learned in order to invest it in what we want to become. So start a new discipline that can lead to wealth and happiness. Find out how things work. Never let it be said you didn't find out. Now let me give you a qualifying phrase. You may not be able to do all you find out, but make sure you find out all you can do.
But when you're on the clock 24/7 and you don't have anybody who says you need to get away, they're not pouring water on your head. Can I go just a little bit deep? Elijah follows Elijah through a lot of stuff, but what he gets from it is he finds purpose. He finds the thing he was created to do. I want to talk to you who are in support ministry. I could do this all day, so I got to hear it. I want to talk to you, those of you who are up under support ministry. If you want to know what you're called to do, you can find what you're called to do by finding what you can't stand, because God will call you to work in the area of your greatest frustration. If you're called to the music ministry, you'll know the calling because you can't stand to hear music out of tune. And why is the music too loud? And this is not up, and the altos are not on key, and da-da-da-da-da-da. Your frustration about it expresses your passion for it. If you can't stand disorder, oh, the bulletins aren't printed correctly, and they didn't do this, and they should have done this, they should have done the other. The thing you can't stand is direction into what you are called to fix, not to complain about. Somebody ought to do something. You are the somebody they're waiting on. The reason you can't stand it is because you're called to fix it. We don't need complaints, we need solutions. You're passionate about it because you care about it. People who aren't called to music, we don't care how you sing or can't sing. It don't make no difference. Just do it and get on out the way. People who are called to it, they really care about it. The background wasn't right. They didn't EQ that up right, and they need to do this and they need to do that. That's the area you should work in the area that you care about, in the area that you care about. Because then it's not about the money, and it's not about the pat on the back, and it's not about the fish and the loaves. You find fulfillment in fixing what was frustrated, found his purpose. Elijah walked past him and said, "Oh God, Elijah, you need water on your hands. You need to serve in that area. You need to work in the area that you notice things that are missing and fix them." And he found his purpose. And one of the greatest things in life you can ever do in your whole life is find your purpose. And then the second thing that he runs into, as he walks with Elijah, he finds his power. Because while he's working for Elijah back here in the kitchen, where the cussing and the fighting, the spaghetti sauce is on the floor. He gets to see the power of what they do. He gets to see the power of it. And all of a sudden he discovers his power, his own power. And then he says, give me a double portion of your spirit. I want that. I want that stuff that you do and how you can do what you do like you do it when you do it. I'm connected to that. I want you to teach me how to make it do what it do, baby.
But I was really listening to this young man. I met him backstage taking pictures. I didn't know he was what he was, but his story of how he used to, I was riding with the CEO, Chris, from the airport. He was telling me this guy used to walk to work every day. And he made it, now he's a top team leader. So I can relate to Ween. I'm sorry, I didn't know him. I can relate to him. I've been at every level. He said something back there. He said, I come from comfortable beginnings. And I stopped because I was backstage pacing. And I heard on the screen, I come from comfortable beginnings. And I stopped because who in here black come from comfortable beginnings? I don't come comfortable. I come from the dirt. I come out of nothing. You looking at me today with all that I've accomplished because of faith. Now, when I talk to you today, I'm going to sprinkle faith in here because I can't talk to you about success without telling you about faith. You think, look here now, you think for 1 minute you're going to make it without God, you tripping. You tripping, partner. You done lost your rabbit mind if you think that you're going to make it without God. Now, you can try it. You ain't going to make it. So when he said he comes from comfortable beginning, I'm here to tell you mine was a bit different. My father was a coal miner. My father made $5 a day with 5 kids. I'm the youngest of 5. I got 2 older brothers. Well, I had 2 older brothers. My oldest brother passed. I got 2 older sisters. My youngest brother had a birthday October 1st. My youngest brother, 73 years old. I'm the baby of the family. But I'm ballin'.
Jack Bogle, been in the business 63 years, showed up for 45 minutes, 4 hours later left his office. And afterwards he wrote a quote for it and he said it was the most probing, most intense interview you had in 63 years. Provocative and probing is what he said. Now that says to me a pretty cool thing. That means I engaged him better than anyone in 63 years and got those answers, according to him, not according to me. Pretty cool. I went to a guy named Ray Dalio. How many of you know who Ray Dalio is in this room? Look how few people know Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio has been called the Da Vinci of investing. He's been called the Steve Jobs of investing. But most of you never hear of him because you couldn't access him in a million years. But if you're president of the United States, if you're head of the Fed, if you run China, you know who he is. And I'll tell you why. To work with Ray, first of all, for the last 23 years, he's made 21% per year compounded before fees through all those environments. Unbelievable. But here's all it takes to work with Ray. You need a $5 billion net worth and $100 million is the initial investment. And that was 10 years ago. Now he won't take your money no matter how rich you are. You're talking to him and he gets a phone call. It's the Prime Minister of China who wants some coaching. A large hedge fund might be $15 billion. Ray's $160 billion. I got hold of Ray. Part of what happened with Ray was he'd been a fan of mine, it turned out, for about 20 years. But what I did, I spent 15 hours to be ready to engage him. 15 hours of total immersion so I could pitch and catch with him. So I didn't just talk, I could do it back. He wouldn't just throw the ball, I could throw it back to him. And guess what? At the end, he has built something over the years called his all-weather fund, which is designed to make money no matter what market you're in. You don't have to know the markets. He said, what if I die? Someday I will. How will my kids have money? How will my philanthropic areas have money? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure out why a balanced portfolio doesn't work in 2008 or 2000. And everything we've been taught about finance is wrong. And the Da Vinci of investing figured it out and has done it for himself for a decade and a half. And he tested it back to 1925 and it just makes money in any environment. So now his clients get to do it. Not the 1%, not the 0.0, the 0.001%. So I'm sitting down with Ray and I get him to explain how it works. And at the end, we're engaged 3 hours into it. And he tells me how this works. And I said, this is beautiful, but I'm doing this. So I'm not doing this for money. I'm giving all the money away. I want people to have answers. And you just got done saying the average person going to the wealth manager will never work. They can't possibly do it. They might be sincere. They might even put their money in the same place they put you. But how many gold medals have they won, he said. Those are the only people that win. There's only a few. It's a giant poker game with a few winners. So you just said they're not going to win with anybody else. So I said, this is worthless without knowing the exact recipe. How much in this? How much in that? How much in this? Percentage, whether I got $1,000 or 20 million, 200 million. That's 20. That's my secret sauce. That's what $5 billion and 100 million used to get you. I said, yeah, but you won't take anybody's money then. He said, yeah. And I said, you're giving away half your fortune with 14 billion. You're a giver. Help a guy out. Give me the secret sauce.
So it's vitally important to discover, first of all, that there is a voice in your head that indulges in self-talk most of the time. And for many people, interestingly enough, that self-talk, for many people, is not always negative, but for many people, it is more negative than positive. A good event that happened yesterday, you might have gone to a nice reunion, or you went out into nature and you witnessed a beautiful sunset. Okay, you can remember it today and think that was a beautiful sunset, or we had a nice talk yesterday. But you can't do that much thinking about a nice event. But the mind, when there's something negative that happens yesterday, somebody offended you, or didn't give you the attention that you wanted from him, then you can start thinking of how, oh my God, what he did, he's really, next time he does that, I'm going to say that, or he really should, you can go on for a long time dwelling on something negative, much longer than dwelling on something positive. It is so, seemingly a negative event is much more food for useless mind activity than a positive event. And this is why for many people, a significant percentage of their mind activity is negative. For some people, it is almost 100% negative, but it is unlikely that these people would get a job in this company because your predominant state of consciousness, your predominant mental emotional state, there's a certain correlation between who you associate with, where you find yourself, and even what kind of things happen to you. There is a correlation which is not always immediately recognizable, but there is a correlation between a person's predominant mental emotional state and who they are with, who their friends are, where they work, and even what happens to them. So if you are in a very negative state a long time, you tend to attract also negative events, but you can only have to find that out for yourself. I'm not saying believe me. I know it from my own life, because when I first discovered this, I was still very young. I discovered that there is a correlation between my mind activity and what happens to me. I found a book several books that somebody left with us when I was 17. And there, for the first time, I read about a person's mind, and I suddenly realized my mind was predominantly negative, because I was a very unhappy child. And so my childhood was not pleasant. And so the initial conditioning of my life was that my mind was continuously commenting and saying how bad my life was. And whenever something bad happened to me, I had a phrase that would occur again in my mind that, of course, bad things always happen to you, don't they? They're bound to happen to you. It always happens to you. So I was talking to myself and saying that bad things would always happen to me, and they did. So you can discover first that the spiritual awakening is to discover that there is continuous mind activity.
Well, the first book was called Extreme Ownership. And what that means is you're not going to make any excuses. You're not going to blame anyone else. You're going to take ownership of whatever happens. And when something goes wrong, instead of pointing fingers and blaming someone else, you're going to take ownership of that problem. You're going to take ownership of figuring out what the solution to that problem is, and you're going to take ownership of implementing that solution. So that is the number one thing that I'm looking for a leader to do, is to take ownership of the problems. And again, we called that extreme ownership. And it was one of those things that was very easy to see in a SEAL platoon, because when someone doesn't take ownership and starts pointing fingers and blaming, well, like for instance, right now, if I started pointing my finger and blaming you for something, what's your natural reaction going to be?
You get defensive, get upset. I mean, it's not my fault this broadcast isn't what I wanted it to be.
Exactly. And then what happens is we have a team where I'm pointing the finger at you, you're pointing the finger at someone else, and now we have no one taking ownership of the problems, and therefore the problems never get solved. The opposite of that is when you have a good leader that steps up and says, hey, Ben, you know what? This broadcast didn't go the way I wanted it to. I should have done a better job preparing for your questions. I'm sorry, I apologize. And now instead of you getting defensive, you say, you know what? No, actually, I could have done a better job. And now both of us are taking ownership of the problems and we're going to get them solved. If you're blaming everyone else, I can't control you. I can't control these other things outside. I can't control. The only thing I can control is me. So instead of worrying about who else is causing you problems, worry about what you can do to yourself to improve your station. And if you go down that path, you're going to find you have a lot more control than you think you do.
How do we make good decisions? Well, number one, making correct decisions. You got to study. You got to know and understand. You got to know the background. You've got to know the historical outcomes of equivalent type decisions that have happened in the past, similar situations. And if you know the history and you know the background, then you can use those to assess the current situation you're in. And then once you assess the decisions that you can make, assess the possible actions that you can take, and then assess the outcomes that those decisions will have, those actions will have. And when you're doing that, you also have to assess the possibilities of inaction. So a lot of times people forget that one. They don't know if they should do A or B. What they forget is there's also, what if I don't do either? What's going to happen? Sometimes not doing either is good. Or a lot of times not doing either is bad. So you got A or B. What should you do? Maybe sometimes you got to pick A or B. Sometimes, occasionally, it's better not to do anything. And you wait and let the situation develop a little bit more. So the point of this is whatever you can know beforehand, you know. You learn, you study, you understand, you know the standard operating procedures, you know what variations have been made on the standard operating procedures, and that's how you go forward. As leaders, I see people getting caught up all the times in little things that will not affect some white belt below them in the chain of command's going all crazy, grabbing their sleeve, and this leader on the top gets concerned about it and puts time and effort into something that doesn't matter, whether it's a little personality rub, a little ego uprising. It's like, should we do it this way or should we do it that way? It doesn't matter. That's a little sleeve grab. It doesn't matter. And I see people getting caught up on things that don't matter all the time. And what I've realized is it's something that I figured out a long time ago. I don't know when, but a long time ago, I figured out, you know what? That thing doesn't matter. I'm not going to worry about it. That thing doesn't matter. I'm not going to worry about it. That thing doesn't matter. I'm not going to worry about it. That thing matters. I'm going to focus on that thing. And that makes a big difference. It's leadership capital. Because if I'm investing my leadership capital in getting your hand off my sleeve or trying to do it my way instead of your way or trying to keep your ego in check, if that's what I'm investing my leadership capital in, I have nothing left to invest in the thing that actually matters.
So what I meant by that is every day we're seeing who we are as people. When I was growing up, I lied for people to accept me because I didn't accept myself. So I would make up stories so then you would accept me into your world. I would, everything I did was for someone else to like me. It wasn't until I started reading my own book about how pathetic I was as a human being. I could blame my dad, I can blame kids at school, I could blame having health issues, ADD, my mom not being around. I could blame a lot of people, and that's the book I was reading. And I put it off on everybody else. It wasn't until I said, you know what, for me to fix this, I gotta read what the fuck is wrong with David Goggins. Not blame anybody. Read my book and say, okay, I'm afraid of my shadow. How can I overcome that? Go in the military, get your ass kicked, do things you hate to do. Be uncomfortable every fucking day of your life. Roger that. I'm not the smartest kid in the world. Okay. Instead of somebody saying, oh no, you're smart. No, don't say that to yourself. I said to myself, no, I'm a dumb motherfucker. Okay, roger that. How you get smarter? Educate yourself. So the things that we run from the truth. We're running from the truth, man. So the only way I became successful was going towards the truth. As painful and as brutal as it is, it changed me. It allowed me to become, in my own right, who I am today. The first ultra marathon wasn't smart at all. So basically what happened was, I was at military free fall school with Morgan Luttrell. Marcus Luttrell, if you guys don't know, was the lone survivor, the guy. He was in a bad op went bad. He was the only Navy SEAL that lived. Long story short, you gotta get the book, read Lone Survivor, great story. Morgan is Marcus Luttrell's twin brother. And I was there with Marcus. So what happened was myself and Morgan were in free fall school. At the same exact time, Marcus was in the worst incident in SEAL history. So I knew that Marcus might be dead. He wasn't dead, everybody else was dead. So I actually brought Morgan, I actually told Morgan, hey man, your brother was in a bad incident. I don't know if he's alive, I don't know what's going on. Long story short, Marcus is alive, and I go on to want to raise money for families. All these guys died, they all had kids. I want to raise money for the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. It's a foundation where 100% tuition goes to these kids to go to college, full tuition, whatever. So I found this great foundation. I'm going to raise money for it. So I said, you know what? I have to Google something that's evil, something very hard. I knew nothing about ultra marathons. I hadn't even run a marathon. I knew nothing about this world. So I Googled the top 10 hardest races in the world. And what comes up is a Badwater 135. It's a 135-mile race through Death Valley in the summertime. I thought it was a stage race. I thought it was a race where you run like 20 miles, set up camp, barbecue outside, and then go run some more the next day. So I called the race director up at the race and said, hey, Chris, his name is Chris Kosman, I want to do your race. So we had a long conversation. I was much heavier then, and I hadn't put running shoes on in over a year.
How heavy are you at this point?
I'm around between 240 to 270.
Whoa.
I'm in there. I'm in that range. My weight has varied a lot through the SEAL teams and out of the SEAL teams, so I was a heavy guy. But the long and short of it all was I hadn't put running shoes on in over a year. I was a big-time power lifter. I lifted weights heavy. That's what I did. Right. I got back home from Iraq, went straight to free fall school, and then this happened. So I called Chris Kosman up on a Wednesday. He says, look, man, the only way you can qualify for my race is to run 100 miles at one time in 24 hours or less. There happened to be a race that Saturday, so 4 days later. And he said, if you qualify by running 100 miles or less in 24 hours, I will consider you my race. My goal was 100 miles. So I got to mile 70, and I cleared 70 miles in like 12, 13 hours pretty quickly. But I was done.
I will celebrate each goal I accomplish with gratitude and joy. I choose to think positively. I choose to think positively and create a wonderful world and successful life for myself. I am grateful that my life is so happy and successful. I can never fail, for everything that happens contributes to me being better. I'm extremely passionate about constantly being better and more successful. I have the courage to create positive change in my life. I acknowledge my own self-worth. My confidence is rising. Every day I will become more confident, powerful, and successful. Feeling confident, assured, and strong is a normal part of my day-to-day life. I am self-reliant, creative, and persistent in whatever I do. I am valuable and will make powerful contributions to the world today. I made decisions based on the superstar I am becoming. I continuously push myself to learn and develop in areas of life that bring me happiness, freedom, and purpose. I am the difference that will make the difference. I wake up every morning ready for a new day of exciting possibilities. I am happy and free because I am me. I am strong. I am a strong individual who attracts success and happiness. My life is a blast of growing opportunities because I never stop creating. I am energetic and enthusiastic. Confidence is my second nature. I teach others to believe in me because I believe in myself. My actions are intentional and they bring me closer to my goals. I am learning to trust the journey. My mind is clear of self-doubt. I am ready to embrace every challenge that comes my way. I surround myself with people who push me to be my best. I have great ideas and make great contributions. Every challenge I face is an opportunity to grow and improve. I am the architect of my life. I build its foundation and choose its contents. My ability to conquer my challenges is limitless. My potential to succeed is infinite. Today, I abandon my old habits and take up new, positive ones. I am excited about the possibilities that exist for me. I am able to think greater than I feel. I am the difference that will make the difference. I create success with everything I do. My impact starts with myself. My future is unwritten, and I have the power to change. I let go of the thoughts that do not serve me. I choose to be the difference that will make the difference in my life. Today, I choose to direct my thoughts. I am inspired, and I breathe life into my goals, my dreams, and my ambitions. Today, I am committed to my purpose. I act on my inspiration. I take the action necessary regardless of how I feel. A great life, it doesn't happen by chance. It happens by design. I am responsible for making smart decisions to drive success in my personal and professional life. I am blessed to have everything in my life to make it successful. I believe in myself and my abilities. I am the architect of my fate. I can achieve what I've dreamt for myself. The whole world is full of opportunities for me to succeed and impact. I am full of vitality. My confidence, positive attitude, and self-belief are my biggest assets to take me a step closer to my success. I'm not afraid of failures. I learn from my mistakes and turn failures into favorable results.
The economy is going to change no matter what you want it to do. The weather is going to change. Relationships are going to change. Everything in life is always changing. We don't have to work on change. Change is automatic, but progress is not. So if you want to make real progress, then you really got to look at your life in a different way. You got to say, I got to take control of this process and not just hope it's going to work out like people do who make a resolution.
You have to own your own happiness. Take it away from other people demanding that they make you happy. Your kids are not going to make you happy. Your spouse is not going to make you happy. A big house is not going to make you happy. Own your own happiness and be responsible for doing those things that bring joy into your own heart, independently of life and people and money and all of that stuff. Right. It doesn't necessarily give you a happiness. You have to take responsibility of that peace and that joy that lives inside of your heart and not inside of your stuff.
It's a hunt. It's a pursuit. It's a constant thing. It's going on all the time. And when you're in the middle of it, in motion, that's when you feel your best. But the discomfort of that motion makes people so uneasy that they feel like, well, I'm going to go through this discomfort and then I'm going to get to a place of stillness where it's all going to make sense. Finally, I made it. I'm here to tell you that fucking place doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's not a real place. It's a place that people look to as an inspirational goal, a destination, and that's going to be the thing that you work hard for. You're gonna push until you get to this place, and then it's all going to be worth it. That place is not real. If you have $1 million, you want $1 billion. If you have a big house, you want a bigger house. You have to find out what actually makes you happy, and it's not having all your ducks in a row on paper. It's improvement. It's improvement in the way you manage your mind. It's improvement in the way you manage your emotions.
Don't worry about what needs to be done. Think about who you have to be in order to get it done. And you do this by focusing on all the things that you're grateful for. Focus on what's working in your life rather than fixating on what isn't working. Maybe you're grateful for the person that's lying next to you. Maybe you're thinking of your children. Maybe it's a dog lying on the side of your bed. Maybe you're listening to the birds outside your window. It's the wonderful house you live in. Maybe it's the wonderful organization that you belong to. It doesn't matter what it is. You just feel it with your heart and soul. You build from there and you keep going. Why do I want you to do this? Because gratitude is the most powerful connection you have to your higher self. You always, always want to start your day connected to this higher self. And when you do, life becomes easier. You don't take things personally. When you're confronted with a challenge, you just look at it for what it's worth. It's a challenge. Everybody's confronted with challenges. And you know that there's something within you that can meet it and overcome it and move forward as a result of it. Tell yourself you're going to enjoy the day. Say it to yourself, you know what, I'm going to enjoy the day. This is going to be a good day. Visualize how you want your life to go. Visualize yourself having fun with your fellow workers, the people you're working for, who are working for you. Doesn't matter. Just visualize yourself achieving the goal. And always, always find the laughter within you and around you every day of your life. And that should start in the morning before you leave the house. There's humor all around you. We get so caught up in our thought process on what needs to be done, we let all the funny stuff in our lives just pass us by. Another thing that can put you in a great mood every day, do something nice for somebody. Do something nice for somebody. There's nothing that can bounce you back to enjoy the day than that. All these things that I am telling you is giving you a different thought process, a different focus to look at life from a different perspective. Our lives move in the direction of our most dominant thoughts and what we focus on day in and day out. Not only do our lives move in the direction of what we focus on and what we think about, but those very things that we're thinking about and focusing on are moving closer to us. In other words, people, the more you focus on your lack, the more of that you're going to get back. Because people, when you start laughing at a negative, intense, stressful, overwhelming situation like that, your brain is no longer focusing on that negative situation. Your brain could only focus on one thing at a time. Right now, your brain is laughing at something ridiculous that you just did. And even if your brain did go back to that negative situation, which it will do eventually, but guess what? It won't be as overwhelming as it was before because you've calmed your nervous system down to the point where you can control the situation instead of having that situation control you. How to acquire the attitude that you need to succeed on all levels of life while enjoying the process. There within lies the key phrase, my friends, while enjoying the process, because it seems to be something that most of us leave by the wayside. Especially when we're setting out to achieve our goals, when we want to accomplish something, we get so caught up that enjoying ourselves becomes secondary.